Okay, ready? So here's my question for you guys.
Yep.
Could the Angels afford a pitcher for 1 year, $12 million?
So I have a guy,
Tell me who your guy is.
Scherzer.
That's my thought. He's going into his last year of his contract. At the trade deadline, they'll owe him about $12 million. I think it's a Verlander situation. If the Angels are in a spot where they can potentially win the West, have the team looks good, Scherzer changes them. Scherzer is who we've talked about. They need that top end number one.
I think Washington has to fall out.
Right. So if Washington's not in the place
The West
for that,
is tough.
yes, the West is tough.
We gotta talk about the A's too, but like they're always gonna be in it.
Mm-hmm.
The Astros aren't as bad as they are. I mean, even though maybe they're not cheating anymore, so that's why they're losing all these games.
Yeah.
Mariners look better than they've ever
Yep.
been, and the Angels look better than they've ever been.
But the big thing for me is that the Angels look sustainable because of what we've discussed multiple times. They have the best 3 in a row in baseball.
Yeah, with
Rendon's out right now, but yes.
But I'm saying, like,
eventually.
Across an entire season,
Yep.
you have the best 3 in baseball.
Mm-hmm. I don't think
Your
there's
team's
one
gonna
clear. There isn't one clear number one in that division right
Yeah.
now. I think it's all very comparable, and if you add that piece to the Angels, I think they take that step
Yeah,
forward.
but I just think the Nationals have to fall out.
Yes, that's
and
the only
at
reason
7 and
that would
9,
happen.
they're not ready to bow out. They're going to require one of the other teams in NL East to really like put the hammer down and end it.
Yes.
I don't know if that's going to happen with the division being so difficult by the trade deadline. I think that's something where you're going to see that just, hey, attrition plays out and there's a team who has 10 more wins than everybody else.
I think.
But it's not going to have it by the trade deadline it'll be 5 and you'll be like, "Oh, we could still get this."
Yep.
This trade deadline might be spicy because look at it from this angle. If the Red Sox continue to play like this, they're going to go after pitching.
Everyone's going to want
And there's
somebody.
also a ton of
if the
free agent
Yankees keep doing like
shortstops.
this, they're going to trade. Right? The Rockies are going to just dump everybody.
Story is
in
not
the
going to be
And
on
seven-
the Rockies on August 1st.
And 7 teams potentially have a shot at the postseason.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? So you have a situation where more people in the league are going to want it.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a couple of teams that have surprised, who if they're around are going to shake it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have teams who if they hover around 500 who think they have the guts of a good team are going to make that move. So again, the Yankees, if the Yankees are sitting around 500 and they're like, hey, we get a pitcher for the remaining time, could that change our dynamic, help us make it?
So we spark something.
And get and that's the thing. Like this year's going to be interesting because there's always that. The other specter that we've talked about in earlier episodes is financially who can afford if people aren't showing up to their games as much.
Yeah.
Did they not make as much? Are they losing money financially? Do they have to dump a player because they need to salvage dollars and cents?
Right.
There are going to potentially be teams who look at it and say, if we were going to win the World Series, we'd keep our team together and we'd reset it next year. However, at this point in time, we could save $12 million. We trade the guy away. We get a great prospect. Next year, we have the money to make the run.
Right.
Good comp that I just came up with in my own mind. I know you don't like when I do this. I'm sorry.
Good job.
The Nationals.
Yep.
The year before they won the World Series, what did they do?
Made a trade.
Who did they trade? Or who did they let go?
They let Bryce Harper go.
What did they do the next year? They won the freaking World Series.
Yep.
The Yankees, when you're going back to it, that's what they have to do. And that, like you said, that guy is Aaron Judge. And I think, we're talking about the Nationals and stuff. It reminded me about that team when you were like,
But that's the thing.
But they also had a guy.
It's addition by subtraction.
They also had a guy like Juan Soto, who the Yankees don't
replaced
have
it.
Juan Soto.
Well, that is the thing, too, and why I think the Scherzer trade could theoretically happen is Juan Soto is going to be very expensive.
Yep.
He's going to be...
They're going to protect that man with all costs.
Exactly.
Yep.
So...
This is a thought.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
Baseball,
but I agree. We've said it a million times. Like, Aaron Judge has to go. And especially with
Where does he go, though?
Well,
He
He has to go to you got to
American
trade
League
him
team.
to an American League team.
Okay, he's not going to
For
the
now,
East.
well, think about it for a second. It's probably going to be DH in National League next year.
Yes.
So
Maybe
theoretically, a
wait.
team that needs a right fielder, that's kind of whatever,
That's
they
true.
have options to switch him in and out so he stays healthy, and then they re-sign him long term as a DH.
Trying to think what team.
Does Colorado need an outfielder?
Yeah, but they don't have any
Colorado
pitchers.
always
They
needs
can't-
everything.
Yeah,
Story.
They have no pit. They don't need a shortstop. They need pitching.
but he's
No,
saying
he's
like
saying
trade
trade
Trevor
Trevor
Story
Story
for
for
Judge.
No, that's terrible. I would never do that. Because
because he's going to be a free agent anyway.
Unless you had a Gleyber Torres trade for a pitcher in your back pocket. But like I don't see that.
Yeah, I think if the Yankees are making a trade, it has to be
It's for pitching. I think they
for
signed
pitching.
shortstop in the offseason.
It has to be for a pitcher.
Yeah.
I don't know what that team looks like and who that is in the National League or American League that has pitching that needs an outfielder. But like, that's just an interesting thought.
Yeah, I like the idea of Scherzer being on the move if the Nationals don't rise up.
Mm-hmm.
Who's another, like, do you think there's any other guys who are pitchers who'd be on the market? Because
Yes.
we've talked, because also, like, the Angels need it, the Yankees need pitching.
You know what's an interesting move for the Angels?
Who were the guys?
I have another veteran that I think would be good for the Angels. Madison Bumgarner. I know
The stud in the playoffs.
I know that the Diamondbacks signed him to a big, lengthy deal 2 years ago, but he's, kind of dropped off. Like, you don't even hear his name anymore. But like you said, you get that man in October, I don't give a shit how old he is or how good he is. That man
And
is
he can
going
swing
to
it.
pitch. And he can swing it.
And it always, again, the financial situation comes back.
Yeah.
If teams are losing gobs of money because of a lack of people being able to show up, COVID restrictions, any of the other things that are happening, are you going to have teams that look at their team and go, hey, you know what, we don't want to move this guy, but we're also far enough away that we're not going to start spending money to match this person being on our roster any longer.
Yeah.
2 years ago when we signed them, we thought, hey, this is going to be great. And then the world dramatically shifted.
Yeah.
And now we're in a situation where we wouldn't have this guy on our team if we could have gone back and thought about it. I think there's a lot of teams who sign players who wish they didn't.
An interesting, actually, I was thinking about for the Yanks, like maybe like the Brewers, because they have, what's his name at the top of the helm? Woodward or whatever?
Woodruff?
Woodruff?
Yeah.
Because like Aaron Judge would put balls out in that stadium like it's nobody's business. But I don't know. Just
Again,
I can't get
for
out of my
Judge,
head now where I'm trading Judge.
for Judge, I think I would almost want him to go to an American League team. I'd have to assume that it's something in that, but it would have to be out of division, obviously. So then it just comes back to what's he currently making and what would he make if they then flipped him again.
Yeah.
Right.
So is there a team out there who would get him with the idea that they're not going to sign him, but if he does, regardless if he signs or if they trade him, they're going to get a first-round pick level player for him. Because when he signs his contract with the team as a free agent, if the team who has his rights doesn't re-sign him, they get an automatic first-round pick in the next draft.
Yeah.
So ultimately, whoever has Judge at the end, who's holding the potato at the end of hot potato, whoever has it, they're going to be able to get a pick for him. So if you're a team that's looking at it and you say, hey, we're flush with pitching, but we don't have hitting, we can make this exchange, get a guy that we can't afford, and get our offense all the way up.
Yeah.
Is that a team like the Athletics? Is that a team who'd be like, hey, we could get this guy here who could hit home runs for us, and then we've always been able to find quality pitching for cheaps.
Yeah.
And we make a postseason run, we make some extra money, and then we trade him in the offseason and we let him move to somebody else.
So the A's best pitcher right now, at least ERA-wise, is Sean Manaea.
That's not.
That's not who they need.
Not great, Bob.
I think if you are I don't think they would send him to anybody who's a contender. So then at that point, I'm just looking at like the top arms in the American League right now.
For Shane Bieber.
I don't think they do that, honestly. That would be gorgeous.
Judge isn't worth that. That'd be
The
great for
only
the
guy-
Yankees, but
What's up?
The only guy in the top 10 really, or two guys that aren't on real contenders. I mean, I guess Danny Duffy's on the Royals. He might be okay. Matthew Boyd on the Tigers has a 2.03 ERA.
Yeah, but
right
I would
now.
need like a dude.
That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
Like,
but
I don't
you're
think
not
there's
gonna get a dude for Judge at this point in time. When is
Well,
Judge
I think they
been
also
worth a
have.
dude?
They probably have some pieces they could add to that trade.
That's what I'm
too.
saying. I just
But
don't think
you're
the
gonna,
Yankees are getting. They're not getting close to a Bieber, right?
No, because they need a 1-2 guy.
I don't think at this point in time.
At least a 2 for Judge.
Yeah.
But at this,
But who,
would you?
yeah.
So again, if let's say that there was a DH,
Mm-hmm.
would you trade Strowman right now for Judge right now?
No.
So my point to you is nobody's looking at Strowman as a legit 2.
Mm-hmm.
He's a borderline 2, almost a 3. So we're already saying that a number 2 Strowman is more valuable than Judge.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you really going to get for Judge? You either have to get a young pitcher who's got potential to be great, who's kind of shown some stuff. Like, again, former Mets prospect got traded across, like
What
a
about-
Justin Dunn,
What about?
right? Like, you could get a guy like that.
I wish.
But I don't know if you're
I don't
gonna
think they would
get-
do it either. Like the White Sox trading like Lucas Giolito away from Aaron Judge because they lost their outfielder and they are already a
But
pauper of a
why
team.
would you trade Giolito though?
I don't think
Who's our number 2 on that team? I know Rondon's
it's
pitching really well,
Giolito,
but, like,
Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn's actually statistically better than
He's too old.
Giolito. Yeah, he is too old.
Giolito's been terrible to start the year.
So
Yeah,
that's what
Lance
I'm
Lynn has a
saying.
.92.
So I'm saying, give me Giolito because I know
But
Kopech's there, but like.
But
Kopech's
Giolito's also
not proven.
only 26, and his last 2 years he's a 3.4 ERA guy.
I don't think they moved Giolito,
Where?
or if
Just
they
an
did,
idea.
they'd ask too much for it.
That's maybe close because Giolito's actually worse than I thought
Yeah.
in terms of statistics. That's actually a trade that I would think about doing.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a situation, you're just hoping because you wish you guys could get a starting pitcher who's Giolito, become your guy's number 2 overnight.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, hey, I got everything I wanted for a bag of sand. I just again, I no one can sell like Yankees fans can sell themselves Aaron Judge. I just don't know if Aaron Judge can be sold to another team.
We'll find out.
For what he's produced.
Baseball lifestyle, it's my lifestyle.